A train traveled one third of its usual speed and hence reached the destination 30 minutes after the scheduled time. On its return journey, the train initially traveled at its usual speed for 5 minutes but then stopped for 4 minutes. The percentage by which the train must now increase its speed so as to reach the destination at the scheduled time is nearest to. Okay, now what is the concept that we'll be using here? To solve this question faster, there is a small concept that you must know. Okay, so let me brief you on the concept first and then I will come to solve the question. So what's the concept here? Whenever two variables are multiplied to give a constant, for example, speed into time is equal to distance, where distance is a constant, or for that matter, length into breadth is equal to area, where area is a constant. So in all of these cases, when two variables are multiplied to give a constant, we can use this concept. So what's the concept? If one of the parameters, if one of the variables is increased, by 1 by x, the other reduces by 1 by x plus 1. And if one of the variables is reduced by 1 by x, the other increases by 1 by x minus 1. What do I mean? The example is very, very simple. Let's say the speed of a vehicle is 40 kilometers per hour and it takes 30 hours. Okay, so if I increase the speed by 1 by 4, the time will reduce by 1 by 5. So if you increase by 1/4, what is 1/4 of 40? 10. So this becomes 50 and this will reduce by 1/5. So 1/5 of 30 is 6. So this becomes 24. You can see that the product still remains a constant. The product here is 1200 and the product earlier was also distance 1200, right? I hope this is clear to you. So my request to you all will be to please note this. It comes in very, very handy in solving such questions, and in most of these cases this is the fastest approach of solving a question like this. Okay, now let's try and apply this here. A train traveled at 1/3 of its usual speed, which basically means that it reduced its speed by 2/3. So if we have to express it in this form, it reduced the speed by 1 by 3 by 2, right? So 2 by 3 can be expressed as this. So it reduced the speed, so using this form, reduce the speed by 1 by 3 by 2. So therefore 1 by 3 by 2 minus 1 will be the increase in time. So this will be the increase in time. So this is 3 by 2 minus 1. Basically this becomes 1 by 2. 1 by 2. So this becomes 2 times. So the time taken is increasing by 2 times. So you can say that it reaches the destination 30 minutes. So let's say the original time taken was x. So now 2x it increases by 2 times. So 2x is equal to 30. That's the increase. So x is equal to 15. So the original time taken by this train to reach the destination is 15 minutes. The original time taken by the train to reach the destination is 15 minutes. Now that we have found that, let's read this next part of this question. It says that on return journey, train traveled its usual speed for 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes it has traveled. Now 10 minutes it has to travel. Okay. However, it stopped for 4 minutes for an emergency, right? Now, how should it travel so that it covers the distance for 10 minutes in 6 minutes? So, it has to basically reduce its time. Now, question is reduce its time such that the new time for is 6 minutes. Now, from 10 to 6, what is the reduction? 4 by 10, which is 2 by 5. So the time is reducing by 1 by 5 by 2. Therefore the speed should increase by 1 by 3 by 2. the speed should increase by 1 by 3 by 2, which is equal to 2/3. So the percentage by which the train must now increase its speed will be 2/3 in percentage is 67%. So I hope this is clear to you. It's a very, very simple problem, very simple problem, right? I hope this is clear. I hope this is all right to you, right? So now this is how we should solve a question like this. This is how we should solve a question like this. Yeah, I hope this is clear to you. I hope this is clear to you, right? So what's the answer here? The answer is 67. The answer is 67. है ना? I hope this is clear. Now all right, so you have a look at it and you understand that it's an arithmetic based question. Now, so there is 50,000 the person spent to purchase a desktop and a laptop. He sold the desktop at 20% profit and laptop at 10% loss, overall 2% profit. Then the purchase in rupees of the desktop is, now see, there are two ways of solving this. Traditionally, how will you solve this? Okay, traditionally, how will you solve this? So you, let's say you dedicate X to purchase the desktop. So therefore for laptop you will give 50,000 minus X. Now you are selling this at 20% profit and you are selling this at 10% loss, right? Overall you are gaining 2% profit. So if you multiply this by 0.02, what do you get? You cancel this and this becomes 1,000. So your net profit is 1,000 rupees. So from here the profit is 0.2x, right? And from here the loss is 0.1 into 50,000 minus X. So you will take a negative here. You'll have to take a negative sign. So minus 0.1 into 50,000 minus X. Overall the profit is 1,000. So you equate it to 1,000. Now if you solve this, 0.2x minus this becomes 5,000 plus 0.1x is equal to 1,000. Now 0.3x becomes 6,000. So x becomes 20,000. Now that x is 20,000, you know that 50 minus x is 30,000. What do we have to find out? Purchase price of the desktop. Desktop we had taken as x. So your answer to this question is 20,000. So traditionally this is how you solve this question. However, we recommend that we should not solve a question like this using this approach in exam because it will take more time. How can I solve it faster? I'm sure you've heard of alligations. I'm sure you all have studied alligations. So let's use that. We have studied it for using it. So now so let's say the desktop is making me a profit of 10% and laptop is making me a loss of 10%. Profit of 20, loss of 10, overall is 2%. So now if I use the alligation here, I'll get a 18 here and I'll get a 12 here. So 2:3 is how the price should be distributed. 2:3 is how the price should be distributed. So 50,000, if you distribute 2:3, this will become 20,000, this will become 30,000. So the answer to your question is 20,000. This way you can solve it much faster, and therefore we recommend that you should use this approach in the exam also. I hope this is clear to you. Solving it faster than the traditional approach. This approach will take you somewhere around 10 seconds, while the traditional approach will take you somewhere around 25 to 35 seconds. I hope this is clear to you. Solving it in 10 seconds is certainly possible. I hope you've enjoyed learning it from the two approaches that we have discussed. You can take any approach as you like. Alright, I hope this is clear to you. If you did not understand this, what you have to do is you have to go back and revise alligations. Alright, I hope this is clear to you. In a car race, car A and car B and car C are involved. Okay. Car A beats car B by 45. So let's say the total kilometers, the total distance is X. Okay. So car A beats car B by 45. Okay. So you should take, so car A traversed X kilometers. So car B traversed X minus 45 in the same amount of time. Right. So car A and car B. Right. Now car B beats car C by 50, which basically means that when car B had traversed the distance x, which is the complete distance over which the race has been conducted, in that duration car C traversed x minus 50, right? So now if we basically try to equate these two ratios, let's use unitary method on this one. So B traverse x kilometers in the same time as C traverse x minus 50. So if B traverse x minus 45, C will traverse x minus 50 upon x into x minus 45, just by unitary method. And why did we make it equal to x minus 45? So that we can equate the two ratios. See, B is the common factor between these two ratios, so therefore we have to equate B. So now if B is x minus 45 in both the cases, we can say that C is x minus 50 into x minus 45 upon x, right? So we have equated the two ratios. That is how we equate ratios, right? I hope this is clear to you guys. So this is how we equate ratios. Now let's see what else is given. Now car A beats car C by 90. So basically when car A travels x, car C should travel x minus 90. So x minus 90 should be equal to this. So therefore now we equate x minus 90 is equal to x minus 50 into x minus 45 divided by x minus 9. Sorry, x, we have x in the denominator. So x will move to the left hand side. So this will become x into x minus 90. Now let's, rather than solving this, what we can do is we can just look at the answer options. Looking at the answer option, basically which answer option should I choose? See, 450 if you choose, x minus 45 will also be 405, which is 9 times 45, right? 450 minus 90 is also 360, and 450 minus 50 is also 400. So all the numbers are, basically divisible. So what do I mean? I will tell you. Here for x I will write 450, x minus 90 I will write 360, x minus 50 I will write 400, and x minus 45 I will write 405. Now you can see these two numbers 450 and 405 are divisible by 45, 10 times, 9 times, and the other two numbers are divisible by 40. So this is 9 times and 10 times. So 10 into 9 is equal to 10 into 9. Therefore 450 is the right choice. Okay. So how to choose options is also something very, very important. If you choose the options wisely, it may help you reduce the time taken to solve the question. Okay. You have to remain calm headed, however, to do that. If you really want to use the options, skillfully, you have to remain calm and composed. I hope this is clear to you. Using the options, will basically help you solve this question faster. I hope this is clear. Now let's move on and see the next question. This question, by the way, should not take you more than 20 to 25 seconds. 20-25 seconds is ideally a good amount of time. Even if you take 30 seconds, it's all right. The question is worth solving. Also, you may have seen similar questions in CAT. So try and solve as many questions of this type as possible. You will find this in all the books that you refer. Okay. So a very good question from time, speed, distance and races basically. So let's move on and see the next question. A group of 10 students. The mean of the lowest 9 scores is 42. So lowest 9 scores mean is 42. And the highest 9 scores mean is 47, right? For the entire 10 students, the maximum possible mean exceeds the minimum possible mean by, these are the options. Okay. Now, what is the minimum possible mean? Let's find out that first. Okay. So if you see the first 9 numbers add up to 9 into 2 is 18, 9 into 4 is 36, and 1 37. So the first 9 numbers add up to 378, right? Last 9 numbers add up to 63 and 6423. So what is the difference between the two? The difference is basically here I have the first number and here I have the last number. Rest all numbers are common, right? So therefore we can say that the last number, let's say the last number is A10 and the first number is A1. So A10 minus A1 is equal to 45. 423 minus 378 is 45, right? So the difference between the two numbers is 45. Now if I have to minimize. If I have to minimize the mean, okay? If I have to minimize the mean, I should take the first number as small as possible and add it to 423 and divide by 10, right? So what is the smallest number that I can take? What is the smallest number that I can take? See, A10 is equal to 45 plus A1. See, can I take 0 for A1? If I take 0, then the last number will become 45. The mean of last 9 numbers is 47, and therefore the biggest number, which is the last number, should not be less than 47. So therefore A1 minimum can be 2. The minimum value of A1 will be 2. So therefore if you add the minimum value of the first number to the sum of last 9 numbers, that becomes 425. So the minimum mean is 42.5. The minimum mean is 42.5. Similarly, let's find out the maximum mean. So what is the maximum value that I can take for the last number? What is the maximum value that I can take for the last number? Okay, so for the last number I have to let's say think of now. So for example A10 is 45 plus A1. Okay, so can I take A1 bigger than 42? The answer is no. I cannot take A1 bigger than 42. The mean of first 9 numbers, is A1, where A1 is the smallest number. So if it increases, if it goes beyond 42, the overall mean will also overshoot. So therefore the best case will be all the 9 numbers being 42. So the best that A1 can become is 42, in which case your A10 will be largest, right? So the biggest value for A10 will be 45 plus 42, which is 87, right? So if you add 87 to this number, this becomes 5 and 6 and 4 divided by 10. The maximum mean is 46.5. Maximum mean is 46.5, minimum is 42.5. Therefore the answer is 4. I hope this is clear to you. If your basics of mean and arithmetic are clear, I am sure you will be able to nail this question within 30 seconds for sure. I hope this is clear to you. Again, a very simple, commonsensical way to solve a question like this. I hope this is clear. Now, a contractor agreed to construct a 6-kilometer road in 200 days. He employed 140 people for the work. Now, after 60 days, he realized that only 1.5 kilometer has been completed. See, the work was 6 kilometers. After 60 days, only 1.5. So 1/4 of the work was done after 60 days. So 1/4 of the work is basically how many man days? 140 men and 60 days. So it is 8400 man days. 1/4 of the work is 8400 man days. Alright. Now, how many additional people would be needed to employ in order to finish the work exactly on time? So 1/4 of the work is 8400 man days. So the remaining work is 3/4. That will be 3 times this value. So 3002 and 25200 man days. So this much work is remaining. Now we have to finish this work in the remaining number of days. So out of 200 days, 60 days are already gone, so remaining is 140. So 140 days is what we have. So let's figure out how many men are required. So if you cancel it, 0, now 14 1 times and then 8 times, so 180. So 180 men working for the next 140 days will be able to achieve the project. So we will require from the 61st day, we will require 180 men. However, this contractor has employed 140 originally, so how many more people he will need? He will need 40 more people, right? I hope this is clear to you. One common mistake that people do is they calculate this 180 and think that this is the answer, which is not true. The question is how many additional people. Reading the question clearly is very, very important. Sometimes in these easy questions, a silly mistake can cost you marks. So I hope this is clear to you. Read such questions very, very clearly so that you don't commit any mistakes. I hope this is clear to you. A very, very simple question. The approach is man days concept. I hope you've studied man days concept or man days hours concept in time and work. So it's a time and work question, right, and a man days concept. Okay, if you don't remember it clearly, please revise the concept, because you can see for yourself that questions are coming in CAT, right? Let's move on and see the next question. Now there are 3 people, as we can see. There is Tom, there is Dick and Harry. Dick is thrice as old as Tom, so let's say Tom is X, so Dick will be 3x. Harry is twice as old as Dick, so Harry will be twice of Dick, so 6x. Now if Dick's age is 1 less than the average of all 3, so what's the average of all 3? X plus 3x plus 6x, 10x by 3, that's the average. Dick's age is 1 less than the average, so the average minus age of Dick is 3x is equal to 1. So now if you solve this, this becomes 3 into 3, 9x, 10x minus 9x is x upon 3 is equal to 1, so x is equal to 3. I hope this is clear now. X is equal to 3. The question is, what is Harry's age? Harry's age is 6 into 3, which is 18. I hope this is clear to you. Again, a very, very simple question that we have cracked here. A very, very basic question that we have cracked here. Very, very basic question. A very, very basic question. You can't get a simpler question in CAT. Hope this is clear to you. Such questions are again morale boosters, but at the same time we have to take care of the time taken. So if you are taking more than 10 to 12 seconds for a question like this, then basically you are hampering your chances. So don't take more than 10 to 12 seconds for a question like these. Hope this is clear to you. Again, the variable approach is one of the simplest and fastest approach for a question like this. Let's move. Meena scores 40% in an examination, and after review, even though her score is increased by 50%, she fails by 35. So let's say the total marks is x. So Meena scores 0.4x. So she has failed. Now score is increased by 50% after review. So 50% of the original score. So if you increase 50% of this, you multiply it with 1.5. So the new score is 0.6x after review. After review, the score is 0.6x. Yet she is failing by 35. So if you add 35, you get to the passing mark. So what's the passing mark? The passing mark is 0.6x plus 35. Now, if her post-review score, what's the post-review score? 0.6x. If the post-review score is increased by 20%, so if you increase this by 20%, so you multiply it by 1.2. So guys, I hope these multipliers are also clear to you. If you have to increase a number by 20%, you multiply with 1.2. If you have to increase it by 50%, you multiply with 1.5. So, have a sense of these multipliers. They will really help you. So 0.6x into 1.2 becomes 0.72x. Now, if you actually do this, then you will have 7 marks more than the passing. So basically 0.72x is passing marks plus 7. Now passing marks is 0.6x plus 35. Just now we saw that passing marks is 0.6x plus 35. So just we have to solve this. So this becomes 0.12x is equal to 42. So this becomes into 100. Now this is 4 times 3, this is 4 times 25, then this is 3 into 14 into 25, 7 into 50, same as 350. So the total marks is 350, right? So total marks is 350. The percentage score needed for passing marks is 0.6x plus 35. 0.6x is nothing but 60%, and 35 is 10% of 350. So what do you require for passing? 60% plus 10%. The answer is 70. The answer is 70. I hope this is clear to you. So I hope this is clear to you. Again, a very basic application of percentages. Very basic application of percentages. I hope.
Population of a town is P in the beginning of any year. Then it becomes 3 plus 2P in the beginning of the next year. So from P, it becomes 3 plus 2P. Right? So this becomes basically P into 1 plus 3 by P. Right? So basically what's happening here is that P is basically increasing by this multiplying factor. P is increasing because of this multiplying factor. With every year, this multiplying factor will keep on multiplying. And we are talking about moving from 2019 to 2034. So basically, this will become P into 1 plus 3 by P raised to the power. So this, because 1 plus 1 is 2. So raised to the power 15. Now in our question, the value of P is 1000. So this becomes 1000 into 2 plus 3 by P raised to the power 15. Here also you will substitute. So this is, so for example, so what's happening here is, if you take, out 2, so this is 1000 into 2 to the power 15 divided by 1 plus something small. 1 plus something small. Why? Because it becomes 3 upon 2000. When you take this 2 out, you get a 2 in the denominator. Now let's check which is the closest answer. So we actually, first and second, we can rule out these are very, very big numbers. 1000 to the power 15, 977 to the power 15. We don't have any big number. What we have is 2 to the power 15 here into 1 plus something small. Right? So we can certainly rule these out. What remains is 3 and 4. Now, what is 3? 3 is even smaller than 1000 into 2 to the power 14. What is 4? 4 is even smaller than 1000 into 2 to the power 14. We can certainly say that our number is much bigger. 1000 into 2 to the power 15, 1 plus something. So therefore 4 is also ruled out. The only answer option that can fit is answer option 3. So in questions like this, guys, you don't actually have to solve it completely. You can get to the solution faster just by doing a little approximation here. By doing a little approximation, we can certainly get to the closer answer or get closest to the answer. I hope this is clear to you. Let's move on and see the next one. A person invested a total amount of 15 lakh. A part of it was invested in a fixed deposit earning 6% annual interest, and remaining amount was invested in 2 other deposits in the ratio 2:1. So 15. Then there are ratios 2x and x. So 2:1, right? So 2:1, 2x and x. So remaining is 15 minus 3x, right? So the interest that the person is getting here is 6%. and the interest that he is getting at 2x is 4%, and the interest that he is getting at x is 3%, right? So now if we basically take, this 15 is basically 15 lakhs. So if we, if we keep the entire transaction in lakhs, the entire equation in lakhs, right? In that case, 15 minus 3x into 6%. So 15 into 6%. So it's 0.06. So 15 into 0.06 becomes 0.9 minus 0.18x plus 2x into 0.04 becomes 0.08x, x into 0.03 becomes 0.03x is equal to, so what's the interest income? The interest income is 76,000. So in lakhs it will be 0.76. Now 0.76 moves to the left hand side, this becomes 0.14, and all the components of x move to the right side, so this becomes 0.18 minus 0.11, so 0.07x. So therefore from here we can see that x is equal to 2 lakhs. Now x is equal to 2 lakhs, the investment here is 4 lakhs, and the remaining 9 lakhs are invested here. So what's the question? The amount invested in the fixed deposit. So the amount that was invested in the fixed deposit was 9 lakhs. I hope this is clear to you. Again, a very simple question, a question based on basics of percentages, basics of interest calculation, and a little basic on algebra also, and equation solving. I hope this is clear to you. Again, a question that can certainly be solved within 30 to 40 seconds. Okay, these are simplest questions, guys. Please do not make any silly mistakes in such questions. Be careful. If you are attempting such questions at the start of your paper, be a little tentative at the start of it. It is all right to be a little tentative. Cross check your numbers. However, once you have solved a few questions, you tend to gain that confidence. I hope this is going so far so nicely for you, and let's move on and see the next question as well. On selling a pen at 5% loss and a book at 15% gain, Kareem gains rupees 7. Let's say that the pen is cost price is X and the book's cost price is Y, right? So selling a pen at 5% loss. So what's the total loss? 0.05x. That's loss, so negative sign. Book at 15% gain. So what's the gain? 0.15y. So net gain is 7. That's given here. If he sells the pen at 5% gain, so 0.05x, and the book at 10% gain, 0.1y. In this case the gain is 13. Now we have to find out x and y. Two equations, two variables, just sum it up. If you sum it up, this gets cancelled. This becomes 0.25y is equal to 20. So implies y is equal to 80. Y is equal to 80. Now y is equal to 80, put in any of these equations and find out x. So if you put y is equal to 80 here, this becomes 8. Now if you if you basically subtract 8 from here, this will become 13 minus 8 becomes 5, and therefore x becomes 100. The cost price of book is 80. The cost price of book is 80. I hope this is clear to you. A very simple profit and loss problem. You can't get a question simpler than this in CAT, and if you actually don't solve this within 20 seconds, you are actually not making full use of such a question. So such questions are to be answered properly and also to secure some time. Okay, always remember that such questions will give you the extra time that you can utilize in some of the difficult problems. Okay, so always whenever you get sitters like this, just nail it and use the basics of concepts. Okay, nothing extraordinary to be used here. Show some good pace. Solving such questions is very easy. Okay, solving such questions is very easy. Keep in practice, solve more and more questions on arithmetic. Like the past 2 to 3 years, if you see this year 2019 also, it has been really heavy on arithmetic. Keep on revising arithmetic. Do a lot of questions on profit and loss, percentages, averages, ratios, allegations, so that you become a really master at it. So I hope this is clear to you. Let's move on and see the next one. Now, two cars traveling at 10 and 11 respectively on the same day reach their common distance at the same point in time. If the first car traveled for at least 6 hours, okay, the first car, let's say, if traveled for at least 6 hours, so the second car traveled for at least 5 hours. So the difference here is 1 hour. So there is a difference of 1 hour between the two cars as far as the time taken is concerned. Okay. So the question is, highest possible value of the percentage by which the speed of the second car could exceed that of the first car. Okay. Now a very interesting question. Let me teach you a small trick. This trick will basically help you solve this question faster than anybody else in the exam hall. Obviously, if someone is solving as fast as you, they will also know this trick. Okay, so what's the trick? The trick is very simple. If speed into time is equal to distance, and distance is a constant, okay, for that matter, whenever two variables are multiplied to give a constant, if you increase one of the variables by 1 by x, the other will reduce by 1 by x plus 1. Right? Here in this example, the time here is reducing by 1/6. Therefore, the speed should be higher by 1/5. Since the time is reducing by 1/6, the speed should be higher by 1/5. What is 1/5? Which is 20%. In place of 6, see, this is greater than equal to 6. So in place of 6, if you take 7, then this becomes 6. If you reduce the time by 1 by 7, the speed increases by 1 by 6. So that is 16.6%. So therefore, taking this at 6 only gives me maximum percentage increase, that is 20%. I hope this is clear to you. A brilliant question from CAT 2019, a question that takes 2 seconds and gives you +3. Such a beautiful question. I hope you could get this small trick. If there are two variables multiplying to give a constant, if you increase one of them by 1 by x, the other you reduce by 1 by x plus 1. I hope you remember that we have done this trick in the class as well. I hope you will go back and revise that. Try solving more such questions using the same trick so that you are able to do it really well when presented in the time of the exam. I hope this is clear to all of you. Let's move on and see the next question. At their usual efficiency levels, A and B together finish a task in 12 days. Okay. Now there is talking about efficiency. Let's take efficiency of A as X. So A does X amount of work in 1 day and B does Y amount of work in 1 day. So the work is basically 12x plus 12y. Right? If A had worked half as efficiently, so if A is working at 0.5x per day and B is working thrice as efficiently, and B is working at 3y, then the task will take 9 days. So then they will take 9 days in all. So that will be the work. So this becomes 4.5x plus 27y. See, both the work, in both these cases, the work done is just the same. So therefore, if we just solve this, if we just equate the two, we will get 7.5x is equal to 15y. So x is equal to 2y. So what is the work? The work is 12x plus, if you put 12y in place of that, you can put 6x. So this becomes 18x. So if A had to finish, how much time will it take? So 18x is the work. X is the number of amount of work that A does in one day. So the number of days is 18. I hope this is clear to you. Again, a very basic efficiency led problem. Basics of how to use efficiency you have done in the class also, and here also I have given you this concept. What do you have to do in efficiency problem? Take the amount of work done per day. Take the amount of work done per day as efficiency. So for A, I have taken efficiency as amount of work done per day. In all the efficiency related problems, you can take it this way. I hope this is clear to you. Again, a question that should not take more than 20 seconds for solution. So in this series, guys, in this part, we have seen some of the really interesting arithmetic problems. The problems that are not very difficult, applying some basic concepts and applying some tricks, you can solve these questions in less than 10 to 15 seconds. If you combine the time that I have told you for these three questions, they are around 40 to 42 seconds. So 40 seconds for three questions, 40 seconds for 9 marks is such an amazing thing. In 2010, a library contained a total of 11,500 books in two categories, fiction and non-fiction. In 2015, the library contained 12,760 books in these two categories. During this period, there was 10% increase in fiction category and 12% increase in non-fiction. How many fiction books were there in library in 2015? Okay, so how can we solve this question? Let me give you an amazing way of solving this. Okay, let me put it this way. Let me give you the fastest way of solving this, the fastest way that there is for solving this question, in which you can solve this question in less than 5 seconds. How? Let's figure out. The number rises from 11,500 to 12,760. What is the increase here? Let's divide 1276 divided by 1150. Now if you divide it by, let's say, 23, so this becomes 50. If you divide this by 23 5 times is 115, so then it again becomes 126. So 5 times is 115 and then again 126, so again 5 times. So basically if I take here 1 2, what is the increase here, right? So now if I take 1150 and again 1150 here, so this becomes 0 5, this is 6 and 2, 12650, right? 12650, right? So this is when there is a 10% increase. There is a 10% increase, right? There is a 10% increase. Now so basically the increase is closer to 10%. The increase is closer to 10%, which basically means that because the fiction books are rising by 10%, this must have a greater domination of fiction books, right? This must have a greater domination of fiction books. Therefore in totality this is rising by 10% or slightly more than 10%, which basically means that in this more than half should be fiction. So just do half of it. So 11,500, if you divide by 2, this becomes 5 and 7, 5750. So the fiction book should be more than this. So if you increase by 10%, if you just increase by 10%, this becomes 5750 plus 575. So this becomes 5213, and so your fiction books in the end should be more than 6325. So fiction books in library in 2015 should be more than 6325. There is only one option which is more, which is 6600. So if you understand this and if you can do this calculation here, You will not take more than 5 to 7 seconds to solve this question. I hope this calculation is clear. This is actually, one of the fastest ways of solving this question that there is. Now, a cyclist leaves A at 10 and reaches B at 11. Starting from 10:01, every minute a motorcycle leaves and moves towards B. 45 such motorcycles reach B by 11, which means that the 45th motorcycle left at 10:45 and reached at 11. So the motorcycle reaches in 15 minutes. The cyclist took 60 minutes for the same journey. So therefore, speed of the cycle to speed of the motorbike is 1:4, right? Speed of the cycle to the speed of the motorbike is 1:4. Now the question is, if cyclist had doubled his speed, which basically means that now the cyclist will reach B at 10:30, because his speed will double, so the time will become half. So he will now reach at 10:30. So how many motorcycles would have reached B? Now you have to realize that motorcyclist speed is still the same. So every motorcycle will take 15 minutes to reach. So therefore in this case, the bike leaving at 10:15 will reach B at 10:30. This is the time when cyclist A reaches the point B. So from 10:01 to 10:15 there will be 15 motorbikes that will basically reach the point B. The answer here is 15. I hope this is clear. Again, a very very commonsensical time, speed, distance question. Should not take more than 10 seconds to solve a question like this. Again, a very beautiful question to test common sense and application of arithmetic. I hope.
A trader sells 10 liters of mixture of paints A and B, where the amount of B in the mixture does not exceed that of A. Okay, so amount of B does not exceed that of A means B is less than equal to A. B is less than equal to A, so best B can be is equal to A. Cost of A per liter is 8 that of B. So let's say B and A, if B is at X liters, X per liter, A will be at X plus 8 per liter, right? If the trader sells the entire mixture for 264 and makes a profit of 10%, okay, so 264 he sells at a profit of 10%, so the cost here is 264 by 1.1. so what's the amount here? The amount here is 240 is the cost price for 10 liters. So what is the cost per liter? Per liter will be 24. Okay, now A and B are mixed in such a way that net you are getting 24. Net you are getting 24. The question is highest possible cost of paint B. So question is, what can X max be? What can X max be? Now just use alligation. So if you use alligation, the ratio of A and B will be, if we actually take it from here, this will be X minus 16 24 minus X. X minus 16 and 24 minus X. Now what we can do from here on is just have a look at the solution. Have a look at the answer options. Now so if I see 26, if I put X is equal to 26, if I put X is equal to 26, this becomes 10 and this becomes minus 2, which is not possible, and hence we can't take this ratio. So 26 is not a possibility. You can check it from here also. If you put 26 here if you put 26, right, this becomes 26 and this becomes 34. There is no possibility that the average becomes 24. The cost is the net cost, the average cost after mixing is 24. If the two costs are above 24, then the average can't land at 24. Hence 26 is not an option. Okay, next let's check 22. Now if you check 22, this becomes 2, and this becomes 6. The ratio becomes 1:3, which is not possible. B has to be less than equal to A. Therefore 22 can be ruled out. Next we can see that 20 certainly satisfies. Why? Because if you put 20 here, this becomes x is 20, this is 4, and this is 4. 4:4 means 1:1, right? So the answer is 1:1. 1:1 it can get when B is equal to A. Highest possible cost of paint B is 20 rupees. I hope this is clear to you. Okay, so guys, what's the concept involved here? The concept involved is the basic profit and loss, converting selling price into cost price when profit is given. That's the first concept. So what's the concept here? Cost price will be selling price divided by 1 plus profit by 100, right? 1 plus profit percent by 100. So that this is the way you can calculate cost price. Next is basic allegation. What does allegation say? If there are two values A and B, and you know the ratio, if you know the ratio, you can certainly and let's say the average is C. If let's say A is greater, then this becomes A minus C, and in this case C is greater, so this becomes C minus B. So the ratio is C minus B to A minus C. That's what happens in allegation. So if you know allegation and if you know the basics of CP and SP, the amount of time this question should take is not more than 30 seconds. Okay, clearly if you have reached this condition x plus 8, and here you have a 24, you can easily see that if you put a 20 here, this becomes 20 and this becomes 28, and easily you are reaching 24 at 1:1. I hope this is clear to you. So in 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds, you can solve a question like this. The first question, which is from time, speed, distance, says that the distance from point A to point B is given as 60. Now Partha and Narayan start from A. So both Partha and Narayan start from A, move towards B. Partha takes 4 hours more than Narayan to reach B. Okay, so let's say that Narayan takes X hours to reach B. So Partha takes 4 hours more, so Partha takes X plus 4 hours to reach B. It also says that Partha reaches the midpoint of A and B 2 hours before Narayan reaches B. So Partha reaches the midpoint 2 hours less than the time that Narayana takes to reach B. Narayana takes X time to reach B. So Partha will take X minus 2 hours to reach the midpoint. If Partha is taking X minus 2 hours to reach the midpoint, he will take another X minus 2 to reach B. So the total time that Partha is taking is 2x minus 4, which is also equal to X plus 4 that we had initially taken. Using this, we can simply say that X is equal to 8. X is equal to 8. So the amount of time that Narayana is taking is 8. The amount of time that Partha is taking is 12. If Partha is taking 12 hours and the speed and the distance is 60, so easily we can say that the speed is 60 upon 12, which is equal to 5. A fairly simple question, guys. You will not get an easier question in CAT, trust me. So time, speed, distance, do it really well. You get simple questions like this which take no more than 10 to 15 seconds for solution. So a very simple question. What's the concept? The concept is very simple. Speed is equal to distance upon time, and some little bit of common sense will help you get a +3 here, right? I hope this is fine. Let's move on and see the question. A CAT aspirant appears for a certain number of tests. His average score increases by 1 if the first 10 tests are not considered, and decreases by 1 if the last 10 tests are not considered. If his average scores for the first 10 and the last 10 are 20 and 30, then the total number of tests will be what? Now, if we actually compare the levels of the previous question and this question, previous can certainly be said to be easy. However, this question will feature in a medium to difficult level, so somewhere around a medium level. Also, one of the best questions in arithmetic that I have seen in the past few years. Very beautiful question. And what's the concept here? The concept is allegations. The concept to solve this is allegation. With allegation you can solve this question, very beautifully. So I hope you all have studied allegation. If you have not, please pause the video, revise allegation once, and then come back to the solution. Let's try solving this. So there are if I consider the first 10 tests, let's say that the total number of tests is x. So if we consider the first 10 tests, then the remaining are x minus 10. Now let's say that for the first 10 tests it says that the average scores is 20. Okay, for the overall, for the total paper, for the complete paper, the average is, let's say, y. The average is y. But if I don't consider the first 10, my average improves by plus 1. So therefore my average becomes y plus 1 if I don't consider the first 10. Right? Now if we just use the allegation to find the ratio, it will become 1. So this is bigger, so here it will be y minus 20. So the ratio is 1:y minus 20. Right? We have one more scenario given. Now let's say we consider the x minus 10 and the last 10. Okay, so total number of questions are x. If we consider the last 10 separately and the previous x minus 10 questions separately, now the total average we know is y. The average of the last 10 is 30, and we know that if we separate the last 10, our average will reduce by 1. So therefore our average here will be y minus 1. Now again if we take the ratio, we can clearly see that it will be y minus 1, so 1, and it will be 30 minus y. Now you can see here that the ratio of 10 to x minus 10 will be a constant. The ratio in both these cases, 10 to x minus 10 ratio is a constant. So in the first one, ratio of 10 to x minus 10 is 1 upon y minus 20. And in the second case, ratio of 10 to x minus 10 is 1 upon 30 minus y. Now if we just solve this, y comes 25. Y comes out as 25, your question is solved. How? I will show you. Just put y is equal to 25 here. Now if you put y is equal to 25, this is 25, this is 26. This becomes 5 and this becomes 1. So the ratio is 1:5. So if this is 10, this is 50. So what is the total number of questions? Total number of tests? 10 plus 50, that is 60. So your answer is 60. A brilliant question, a beautiful question. I hope you enjoyed and you learned how to solve a question like this. Should not take more than 30 seconds in an exam scenario also, although it's a medium level question. So although it's a medium level question, 30 to 35 is a good amount of time to solve this. Even if you know this, if you've solved questions like this, you can solve it clearly in 15 to 20 seconds also. There have been similar questions in the past CAT also. You can have a look at those as well. So in the last 5 years, there have been 2 to 3 questions of this type. Whenever you find a question of this type, remember that the concept is allegations. So all you have, so what I have used is allegations in this whole solution and nothing else. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. Let's move on and see the next question. Now there are 2 types of tea, A and B. Okay, sold at 40 per kg. The profit is 10% if A and B are mixed in the ratio 3:2 and 5% in the ratio 2:3. Okay, right? So traditionally, if you would want to solve, how will you solve this? Let me tell you traditionally so that you understand the concept. Okay, so traditionally, how would you solve this? Traditionally, if you go about solving this, because at 40 per kg, okay, if the profit is 10%, so the cost price will be 40 upon 1.1, right? In this case, let's say the prices of A and B are X and Y. So they are mixed in 3:2 proportion. So this will be equal to 3x plus 2y. When you are taking it in 2:3 ratio, then your cost price becomes 40 upon 1.05. Why? Because in this situation the profit is 5%. If the selling price is 40, your cost price will be 40 upon, so this is cost price. Now all you have to do is you have to solve these equations. You have to solve these equations simultaneously, linear equation in two variables, to reach to the solution. That's how you solve it traditionally. Now let's come to the exam approach. In the exam approach, or in the exam, while solving this question, I would suggest that you should not solve these equations, because these can be detrimental to your chances and also will kill a lot of time. In the exam, how should you solve this? Very simple, by option elimination. You should solve this by using
Option elimination. I'll tell you how.
let's use this one. Let's use this one. Okay, so in how do you do exam scenario? Exam scenario is very simple. The costs of A and B are in the ratio X and Y. So the first case cost price is 3x plus 2y, and in the second case cost price is 2x plus 3y, right? Cost price is 3x plus 2y. So, and the selling price is 40. So you know that this number has to get to 1.1 and this number has to get to 1.05, right? So you should take the numbers in such a ratio that you get it, right? So let's take any of the options. Now if you can check the options, you will clearly find that which option will give you a 0, if you actually basically solve this a little. Looking at the solution, you are not going to get decimals, right? So convert it into some numbers. So 110 and 105. So basically 3 into which number plus 2 into which number is going to give you the last digit 0. 3 into which number plus 2 into which number is going to give you the last digit 0. 3 into 9 is 27. 3 into 9 is 27. And 4 into 2. So here if you take 19 and 24. So 3 into 9 is 27 and 4 into 2 is 8. Right? So this option does not give you that, So let's say something else. Let's see something else. 3 into 8 and 2 into 5. No, we are not getting it. 3 into 7 and 2 into 5. So again here also not getting it. 3 into 1 and 2 into 5, we are not getting it. So the only solution that seems feasible is the second one. How? You can see it. When you do 3 into 19, you get 57, and 2 into 24 is 48, right? And in the second case, if you do 2 into 19 is 38 plus 3 into 2 is 72. So this one is giving us, so in this case 2x plus 3y is going to give us 5% profit. So if you actually see, these numbers are coming out to be 110 and 105. So certainly this is the ratio which is going to give us the number. I hope this is clear to you. So how do you get to these numbers? You will have to check 2x plus 3y and 3x plus 2y. Using these answer options, is it going to give you 105, 110 numbers like this? Because this is the number we are talking about, right? I hope this is clear to you. So the answer here is 19:24. I hope this is clear to you. So the question says that points A, P, Q, B lie on the same line such that P, Q, B are 100, 200 and 300 kilometers from A. So practically the distance between each of these points is same, which is 100. So it is A here and B here and P and Q are also given. Now the gap between A and P is also 100, between P and Q is also 100, between Q and B is also 100, so that AP is 100, AQ is 200 and AB is 300. That's what is given here. Now car 1 and 2 leave A. So car 1 and car 2 leave A, at the same time move towards B, right? Simultaneously car 3 leaves B and moves towards A. Now car 3 meets car 1 at Q. Car 3 meets car 1 at Q. Now if car 3 meets car 1 at Q, car 1 has traversed 200 kilometers in the time car 3 has traversed 100 kilometers. So therefore, if the speed of car 3 is x, speed of car 1 will be 2x, because in the same amount of time the distance traversed is double. So if time is a constant, distance is directly proportional to speed. So the speed of A is 2x, the speed of car 1 is 2x, speed of car 3 is x. Now what else do we know? Car 3 meets car 1 at Q and car 2 at P. Now at P, car 3 meets car 2, which basically means that the car 3 travels 200 kilometers and car 2 travels 100 kilometers in the same amount of time. It basically means that speed of car 3 is double that of car 2, which basically means that if we have taken the speed of car 3 as x, speed of car 2 must have been x by 2, right? I hope this is clear to you. It's a very simple application of time speed distance, wherein if time is a constant, your speed is directly proportional to distance, right? So the speed of car 2 will be x by 2. Now the question is ratio of speed of car 2 to that of car 1. So car 2 is x by 2 and car 1 is 2x, so the ratio is 1:4. So the first option is the correct answer option for this case. What's the concept here? The concept is very simple. Speed into time is equal to distance. So there are two concepts here. One is the direct proportionality and the other is inverse proportionality. What's the direct proportionality? If time is a constant, speed is directly proportional to distance. If speed is a constant, time is directly proportional to distance. If distance is a constant, then speed is inversely proportional to time and time is also inversely proportional to speed. So there are two concepts. One is direct proportionality, when either of s or t is a constant, and there is an inverse proportionality when distance is a constant. Okay, I hope you are clear with this concept. Let's move on and see the next question. Now, one question from arithmetic from mixtures. There are two drums each containing a mixture of paints A and B. In drum 1, A and B are in the ratio 18:7. Okay, the mixtures from drums 1 and 2 are mixed in the ratio 3:4. In the final mixture, A and B are in the ratio 13:7. Question is, in drum 2, A and B in what ratio? Now, what's the concept here? The concept here is alligations. I hope you've studied alligations. If you have not, please study it. If you seem to be forgetting it, please revise it. Alligations is pretty straightforward. We can use it. Now, in case of such a question, what you have to do is you have to concentrate on any one of the paints. For example, you can concentrate on you can focus on concentration of A or concentration of B. Either of these can give you the answer. What I'm trying to say is, what's the concentration of A in drum 1? The concentration of A in drum 1 is 18/25. A and B are in the ratio 18:7. So the concentration of A is 18/25. That's the fraction in which A is existing in drum 1. So I am just considering A because the other one is sorted accordingly. If you increase one part, the other part reduces proportionately. So 18/25. Drum 2 we don't know, that's X. That's the number we want to find out. And finally the ratio becomes 13:7. So what's the proportion of A? 13 upon 20. 13 upon 20. Now we have to subtract it. We know that these were mixed in the ratio 3:4. That's given. The drums are mixed in the ratio 3:4. This is known to us. So now if we subtract here, we'll subtract 13 by 20 from 18 by 25. The LCM is 100. This becomes 72. This becomes 65. So this becomes 7 upon 100. And we subtract x from 13 by 20. So this becomes 13 minus 20x divided by 20. Now you take the ratio here. This becomes 65 minus 100x upon, so this is 13 and this is 7 upon 100. Now what we have to do is we have to just take the ratios. So now this is if you actually make it multiply by 5, so this becomes upon 100. So the ratio is this upon 7, that is same as 3:4. So just solve this, right? So this becomes 4 into 5 is 20, 4 into 6 is 24, and 2 is 260. So 260 minus 400x is equal to 21. So therefore x is equal to 239 by 400, which basically means that this is the proportion of A. So the proportion of B will be 1 minus this. So proportion of B will be 161 upon 400. So what's the answer here? The answer is answer option second. Again, a very beautiful question on alligations. Should take you somewhere around 30 to 35 seconds solving this if you are clear with the concept. What's the concept or what's the trick here? The trick is take any of the two parts. So for example, if there are A and B here, you can take only A and solve, or you can take only B and solve. You don't need to take both A and B and solve this question. That's the only trick here. If you are able to do that, you should be able to solve it with alligations very easily in 30 to 35 seconds. I hope you could get it. Wish you all the very best. In the year 2017 for QA was Arun's present age is 40% of Barun's. In another few years, Arun's age will be half of Barun's. By what percentage will the Barun's age increase during this period? Okay. So let's go through the traditional method, basically the concept behind a question like this. Then we will come to how should you solve in the exam scenario. So normal scenario or the traditional method or the concept. Okay. Normal scenario or the concept. How does the concept go? Okay. So you can see here Arun's present age is 40% of Barun. So let's say Barun's age is X. So Arun's age will be 40%, which is 0.4x, right? In another few years, Arun's age will be half of Barun's. So let's say after t years, Barun's age will be x plus t, right? And after the same t years, Arun's age will be half of Barun's age, right? Half of Barun's age meaning 0.5x plus t, okay? 0.5x plus t. Now you can see that the difference between 0.5x plus t and 0.4x should be the same time t. Now you just take the difference, you will realize that 0.5x plus 0.5t is equal to 0.4x, right? So minus 0.4x is equal to t, right? So 0.1x is equal to 0.5t. So x is equal to 5t. Now all you have to do is substitute here x with 5t. So now this becomes 5t for you, and this becomes 60, right? And this becomes 0.4 times 5t, which is 2t, and this becomes 3t, right? Fits the given conditions perfectly, right? By what percentage will Barun's age increase during this period? So by what percentage will Barun's age increase? So from 5t it moves to 60, so the change will be final value minus initial value upon initial value into 100. That's the formula. What's the formula for percentage change? Percentage change will be final value minus initial value upon initial value into 100, right? I am going a little slow so that you understand the concepts really well, because you might get similar questions. You will not get the same question in CAT again, but you may get a similar question, right? So I hope this part is very clear to you. So what is your answer? The answer is t upon 5t into 100, which is 20%, right? So that's the concept. However, this is not the way you should solve it in CAT. Okay, I am giving you the concept also, so that the lesson is a concept builder, and at the same time it also helps you solve the questions faster, right? So how do we solve this? Okay, how do we solve this? Let's say that the Arun's age is 100. Okay, then Barun's age will be 40. After some years, Barun's age is half of Arun's age. So is it very difficult to think what should you add here so that this number is half of this number, right? Arun's age becomes half of, it's a no-brainer to say that if you add 20 here and you add 20 here, this becomes 60 and this becomes 120, right? So this becomes double. Now what is the percentage increase from here to here? It is 20%, right? So how much time does it take during using this method? The time that it takes is less than 5 seconds. The time that it takes using this method is less than 5 seconds. Many people will actually try solving it through the last method, because what comes to you in the exam scenario is mostly the traditional approach. However, you will have to break free from the traditional approach, try innovative ways of solving questions, right? Like this one. This is actually the fastest way to get to the answer. It's less than 5 seconds in which you can get to this answer. I hope you could follow this. Let's move on and see the next question. Okay. Now a person can complete a job in 120. He works alone on day 1. On day 2 he is joined by another person who can complete the job in 120 days. On day 3 they are joined by another person. Like this, every day a new person joins with the same efficiency, right? So how many days are required to complete the job? Okay, so the work is basically 120 man days, right? I hope you know the concept of man days. So the work is 120 man days. Okay, so one man doing the work for 120 days is 120 man days, right? Now what happens here is, first day one person is working, so 1 man day of work is done. Second day one more person joins, so 2 man days of work is done. Okay, again 3 man days, 4 man days, 5 man days, right? So going on and on till, let's say, the number of days. So let's say there are n days, this work takes, let's say, n days, so going on till n man days. This is equal to the total work, which is 120 man days. If you cancel man days from everywhere and you sum this number, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus ... n. So I hope you guys know the concept here. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus ... n. Basically sum of first n natural numbers is given as n into n plus 1 by 2, n into n plus 1 by 2, right? So here if you do this n into n plus 1 by 2, n into n plus 1 by 2, if you do it here, so in that case this becomes n into n plus 1 by 2 is equal to 120. Now there is a way to solve this. Now this is into 2 becomes 240, right? Now if you actually split this, so you have to all you have to do is you have to factorize this number. So if you factorize this number, this is nothing but if you factorize this number is 224. So if you basically do this 240
Now this is 2 times 120, then 2 times it's, then 2 times it is 60, then 2 times it is 30, then 2 times it is 15. So 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 is 16. So basically it is 16 into 15. So n is equal to 15, right? So this is the concept behind a question like this. Now, how should you solve this in exam scenario? Will you do all this in exam scenario? This is just for your understanding, for your concept building. Now, let's try and do the way we will do this. Now, the exam style. Okay, so let's look at the exam style. How will you do this in exam? Okay, now 120 days, every day one person is adding, which basically means that in n days the amount of work will be n into n plus 1 by 2. We can write it straight from the question. We don't need to write all these steps. You can write from this: first day 1 person is working, second day 2 person, third day 3 person, nth day n people. So number of work is n into n plus 1 by 2, that is equal to 120. Now this you multiply becomes 240. Now if you don't want to factorize this, because prime factorization of this number may take time, sometimes a difficult number may take time, what you have to do is approximate this as n square. N into n plus 1 you have to approximate as n square. Now you take it as 240. N square is equal to 240. So what is the approximate value of n from here? Approximate value of n from here is 15. Right? So that's your answer for this question. So what's the answer? The answer is 15. You can try it here again, back, put it here. Then if you put it here, you will get 15 into 16 by 2, which is 120. So you get the right answer, right? I hope this is clear to you. Again, solving through this, we will take 5 to 7 seconds. Okay. So I have told you the concept also, and also the exam style. So how should you solve this in exam, so that you are able to solve this in 5 to 7 seconds. I hope this is clear to all of you, right? Guys, give yourself some time before you actually jump to the solution. Give yourself some time, try solving it. How will you solve this in exam? Okay, an elevator has a weight limit of 630. It is carrying a group of people from the heaviest, so heaviest is 57 and lightest is 53. What is the maximum number of people in the group? Now, what's the maximum number of people in the group? So if you want to maximize the number of people in the group, you will try to maximize more number of people who are of lesser weight, because the weight is a constraint, right? So 630 is the constraint, right? Here particularly there is not much of concept. It is basically a common sense based question. Now all you have to do is maximize this, right? So you will minimize the number of weight, heaviest weight. However, because it is given that the heaviest weight guy is 57, you will have to keep at least one person who is 57. Now you keep one person who is 57 and you keep n number of person who are 53, and combining you are getting 630, right? How can you solve this faster? How can you solve this faster? It's very simple. It's very simple. Now if you put n is equal to 10 here without calculation, you know that this is 530. 530 and 57 makes it 587, right? Now if you put 11 here, 53, 583. 583 plus 7 is 590, plus 50 is 640. So so this exceeds 630 if you put n is equal to 11. So n is equal to 10 is your answer. Okay. So is this how you should do in exam also? Yes, this is the way you can do in exam also. In fact, you can do it without writing this. You can just have a look at this. You can subtract 630 in the exam scenario. What you can do is even faster. Subtract 57 from 630. When you do that, you will realize that this 30 is gone, another 27 is gone, you reach 573. Now what is the multiple of, what is the quotient when you divide 573 with 53? It is only 10. So the answer is 10. Okay, you don't have to write those steps in the exam. The steps that I had written was for your comprehension. A man leaves his home and walks at a speed of 12 km per hour. reaching the railway station 10 minutes after the train had departed. If instead he had walked at a speed of 15 km per hour, he would have reached the station 10 minutes earlier. The distance from his home to the station is. Now, how will you solve this question? So let's try and understand the concept. Okay. So what's the concept here? The concept is very simple. Speed into time is equal to distance. The distance is a constant. The person moving from his home to station, the distance is a constant. So if he will increase the speed, the time will reduce naturally. In the first case, he is going at 12 km per hour, and let's say he is taking t amount of time. In the second case, when he is going at 15, he is taking lesser time. How much time? Earlier he was 10 minutes late, now he is 10 minutes early, basically meaning that he is taking 20 minutes lesser as compared to the first case, right? So the first case and this is the second case. So in both the cases you can see that because the speed has increased, the time has reduced, but the distance remains constant in both these cases. Therefore we can say that 12t will be equal to 15 into t minus 20, right? Now if I solve this, this becomes 3t is equal to 300, and therefore t is equal to 100. Now this time is in, you have to understand this is in minutes, right? So you have to get the distance. So distance will be speed into time. So speed is 12 km per hour and time is 100 upon 60 hours. So this becomes 2 here. So distance is 20 kilometers, right? So this is, traditionally the approach of solving a question like this. However, in the exam scenario, you should not do this. Okay. In the exam scenario, it's a one-step answer and a 3-second, 2-second question. Let's see how. So let's come and see the exam style now. So how do you do this in exam so that it will take you minimum amount of time? Okay. So the fastest way of solving this question. Okay. Now before that, let me help you with one quick concept. Okay. Whenever product of two variables is a constant, you can use this funda. So what's the funda? Product of two variables is a constant. Speed into time is equal to distance, length into breadth is equal to area, right? In all these scenarios you can use this. Okay. So when one of the variables increases by 1 by x, the other should reduce by 1 by x plus 1. Example, very simple. What is the example? Let's say that the speed of a car is 60 and the time that it takes is 40, basically making 2400 as the distance. Now if the distance is a constant here, if you will increase the this, let's say the speed here by 1/3. So what's the one? So if you increase the speed by 1/3, the time will reduce by 1/4. Example, if this reduced by 1/3, so what is increased by 1/3? Sorry. So 60, 1/3 of 60 is 20. So increased by 20 becomes 80. Then time reduced by 1/4. 1/4 of 40 is 10. So reduced by 10, making it 30. So 80 into 30 remains 2400. I hope you followed this concept, right? This is the inverse proportionality concept when product of two variables is a constant, right? Similarly, when 1 by x reduction in one variable leads to 1 by x plus 1 increase in the second variable. Okay, I hope you have followed this. Try using this in a lot of concepts, questions like this, and trust me, this is the fastest way in which you can solve a question like this. Let us see how. Let me apply this to get the answer for this question in one step. Speed improves from 12 to 15. So the speed here has improved by 1/4 because 1/4 of 12 is 3. Therefore the time should reduce by 1/5.
So the time taken in this case was t. So t by 5 is equal to 20 minutes, because earlier it was 10 minutes late and then it was 10 minutes early. So the time reduction is 20. So time taken in the earlier case is 100, and therefore the distance is 12 into 100 upon 60, which makes it 20, right? So this is a faster approach, guys, to solve a question like this. 1 by x increase in one variable means 1 by x plus 1 reduction in the other variable. 1 by x reduction in one variable means 1 by x minus 1 increase. Please remember, 1 by x increase in one variable, 1 by x plus 1 reduction in another variable, 1 by x reduction in one variable, 1 by x minus 1 increase in the other variable. So you should write it down, keep it handy, try solving some questions using this approach, and trust me, there is no faster approach than this in solving questions like this. I hope you understood this, and let's move on and see the next question. Ravi invests 50% of his monthly savings in fixed deposits, 30% of the rest of his savings in invested in stocks, and rest goes into savings account. Okay, so out of the total 50% goes into fixed deposits, remaining is 50%. Out of that 30% goes in stocks, so 30% of this will be 0.15x, remaining 0.35x goes into savings, right? So total amount deposited by the bank, so total amount is 0.5 and 0.35, which is 0.85x is given as 59500, right? So this becomes again 00, this is divisible by 17, so this becomes 5, and this becomes 17 3 times and then 5 times, and this becomes 7, so x becomes 70,000, right? What is the faster way? The faster way is don't write all of this. What's the exam style? The exam style is very simple. You have to calculate it just in the question itself. 50% gone in fixed deposit, remaining 50%, 30% gone in investment, so 30% of the remaining 50% makes it 15%, making it another 35% going into the savings account. So 50% into fixed deposit and 35% into savings account makes it 85%. Now 85% is 59500. So then what is 100%? That's the question. If 85% is 59500, right, then what is 100%? That's the question. So all you have to do is divide 59500 with 0.85. So 17 5 times, 17 3 and 5 and 5 7. So fastest you can go is write lesser number of steps in questions like this. There is no apparent trick for these questions. These are commonsensical questions basically given to so that all the people from different backgrounds can have a level playing field. Okay, you have to save time in these questions and dedicate into others. You should not take more than 5 seconds. If you take more than 5 seconds, it is actually a sin too that you are doing. So let's move on and see the next question. Now a seller gives a discount of 15% on retail price. So let's say the retail price is X. Now retail price is X. Now discount of 15% basically meaning that your selling price becomes 0.85x, making a profit of 2%, making the cost price as 0.85x upon 1.02, right? So making it 5x by 6. So now the question is how can she make a profit of 20%? So to make a profit of 20%, what should be the selling price? The selling price should be the cost price into 1.2, right? Now into 1.2 if you do, you will realize that this becomes 1.2 into 5 is 6, and this basically becomes equal to x, which is the retail price. So in case they the seller wants a profit of 20%, they will have to sell it at the retail price. So that's the answer, selling at a retail price. Is there a faster way? The answer is yes. which is not much faster, but yes, you can still feel the difference in the time that it will take. Okay. Start by taking a number. Start by taking a number which, when discounted by 15%, still is divisible by 102 or 1.02, to be honest, right? Because you know why I'm saying this, because you have to divide it by 1.02 to get to the cost price, right? So you'll have to think through before you start writing. Okay, it's a very important skill to have in CAD. First you think, then you write. So what we generally do is we start writing and then we realize that some of these steps are waste, right? You get into this habit of actually, thinking and then writing. So what should I take so that discounting it by 15% makes it divisible by 102? Very, very simple. After, so any number, so basically you take any number which is divided by, so basically you take a number in your head, discounted by 15%, becomes 85.85x, right? You divide it by 102, basically 5/6 of that number. So you can take a number taking the denominator in mind. So appropriate number in this case is 120, right? So you get a 15% discount over 120, right? That becomes 18. So the number that you get for selling price is 102. You divide it by 1.02, the cost price is 100, right? And you, to get the profit of 20%, you have to sell it at 120. Therefore you have to sell it at retail price. The amount of calculations involved here is much lesser if you can think and take the first number itself. That is very, very crucial. So think through and then take the first number. Okay, that will avoid calculations. Okay, so I hope this is also clear to you. So in a 10-kilometer race, A, B and C, each running at uniform speed, get gold, silver and bronze. If A beats B by 1, B beats C by 1, then how many meters does A beat C? So guys, again a very simple question in from time, speed, distance. My request to you will be, pause the video for a minute and try it yourself. Alright, so I hope you have given it a try. So now if you actually see A and B, okay, in the same time, when A covers 10 kilometer, B covers 9 kilometer, right? That is why A beats B by 1 kilometer, right? In the same amount of time, A covers 10 and B covers 9, right? A covers 10 and B covers 9, right? Similarly, if I talk about B and C, in the same amount of time as B covers 10, C covers 9, therefore B beats C by 1 kilometer. So in the same amount of time, so basically the ratio of speeds now, so you can see when time is constant, distance is proportional to speed. When time is a constant, so you can see here time is a constant, here also time is a constant. In the same amount of time, A is covering 10, B is covering 9. So these are the ratios of speeds, right? So ratio of speed of A to B is 10:9 and B to C is 10:9. Now the common element here is 9:10. So it's a ratio problem combined with time, speed, distance. So now if you actually take the speed ratios of A, B, C, all you have to do is, this is 10 and 9, 10 and 9. So you have to equate these common ratios. So what's the LCM of 10 and 9? The LCM is 90. So multiply the first ratio with 10 so that the common element is achieved at the LCM, and multiply this by 9. So this becomes 100 is to 90 is to 81, right? So in this case, these are the ratios of the speeds. So when A covers, how many meters A does A beat C? So when A covers 10 kilometer, C covers 8.1 kilometers. When A covers 10 kilometers, going by this ratio of speed, C will cover 8.1 kilometers. So what's the difference here? 1.9 kilometers. So 1.9 kilometers is the difference. However, we must note that it is asking in meters. Okay, many people might have committed this mistake. So you have to convert it into meters. So 1900 meters is the answer to this question. I hope this is clear to you guys. I hope this is clear to you. So what is the concept involved? The concept involved is very simple. Because the common element is b in these two ratios, therefore you should use b, take LCM of the individual numbers, and then try to take the number to the LCM by multiplying by certain number. So if you multiply it by 10, b goes to 90, a goes to 10. Here also if you multiply by 9, b goes to 90, c goes to 81. I hope this is clear to all of you. Right, let's move on and see the next question. Now bottle 1 contains mixture of milk and water in the ratio 7:2, and bottle 2 contains a mixture of milk and water in the ratio 9:4. In what ratio of volumes should the liquid in bottle 1 and bottle 2 be combined to obtain a mixture of milk and water in 3:1? See, there are two ways of doing this. A beautiful question from mixtures. Here the concept that we'll use is alligations. I hope you know the concept of alligations. I hope you know the concept of alligations. My request to all of you will be pause the video for a couple of minutes. If you know alligations, try it out. If you don't know alligations, just revise alligations and come back. Okay, so that you enjoy the solution of this video and you are able to understand it as well. Right, so this is the question. Now I hope you know the concept of alligations. If so in this case bottle 1 contains mixture of milk and water in the ratio 7:2. So in the first bottle, the ratio of milk, the proportion of milk is 7/9. In the second bottle, 7:2 basically means that the proportion of milk in the total solution is 7/9, right? And bottle 2 contains mixture of milk and water in the ratio 9:4. So proportion of milk in the total bottle, in the out of the total solution, is 9/13. And the question is, how should I mix B1 and B2 so that milk and water are in the ratio 3:1? Basically we want the milk to be 3/4 of the solution. This is what is the question, right? So now we just take alligation here. What do we do here? Take the difference with 9/13. So if we take the difference with 9/13 minus 3/4, so this becomes 52, and this is 36, and this is 39. So 9/13 is lesser, 3/4 is more than 9/13. So this is 3/52, right? This is 3/52. Now if 3/4 is more than 9/13, 7/9 should be more than 3/4 for the alligation to be valid. 7/9 minus 3/4, you take 36 as the LCM. Now this becomes 28 minus 9 times, so this becomes 27. So this is 1/36. Now what you have to do is just take the LCM of 52 and 36 and multiply. So 52 and 36, you take out 4 common, so the LCM is 4 into 9 into 13. So this will become into 4 into 9 into 13. So this will be 52 into 9, the LCM will be, and this will be 36 into 13, the LCM, and this will become 3 into 9, and because this is 4 into 9, so this will be into 13. So the answer is 27:13. Right, I hope this is clear to you. 27:13. I hope this is clear to you. So a very simple question. What's the answer here? 27:13. I hope this is clear. Arun drove from home to his hostel at 60 miles per hour. While returning home, he drove half the journey at 25 and then took a bypass road which increased his driving distance by 5 miles. Allowed him to drive at 50 miles per hour. If his journey took 30 minutes more than the onward journey, then the total distance traveled by him is. Now if you actually see, this guy is going from home to hostel, and so onward journey he is going at 60 miles. So let's say the distance here is d. So onward journey is going at 60. In the return path he is taking half the journey he is doing at 25 miles per hour, and the remaining half he is taking a bypass, because of which the remaining half becomes d plus 5, right? It says that it increases by 5, and he goes at 50 miles, right? Now the question is, now in the second half he is taking 30 minutes more than the first part of the journey, right? So the question is the total distance traveled. Now the total distance traveled here is 2d plus 5. Now let's try solving this. So traditionally, how will you solve this question? We will come to the exam approach later. Lekin for the first time, let me give you the approach first, or the concept. Now if you actually see, the time taken in the first half is d upon 60, right? The time taken in the second half is, this is d by 2, this is also d by 2, so d by 2 plus 5, right? So d by 2 plus 5 and d by 2. So d by 2 divided by 25 plus d by 2 plus 5 divided by 50. That's the time taken in the second return path. So now if I just take it here, so this becomes d upon 50, right? And this becomes d by 2 plus 5, this becomes d plus 10 upon 100. So d plus 10 upon 100. Now all we have to do here is, now take an LCM, it becomes 100, this becomes 2d plus d plus 10, so 3d plus 10. Now 3d plus 10 is equal to d upon 60, right? Now this is 3 times, when you divide by 20, this is 5 times, so this 5d becomes equal to 9d. No, so there is just one difference, we can't equate it. The question is, the onward journey takes half an hour lesser, so which basically means that the onward journey takes half an hour more than the onward journey takes half an hour less. So in the onward journey, if I add half, so if I do d by 60 plus 0.5 will be equal to 3d plus 10 upon 100, right? So now this becomes 0.5 will get multiplied by 60, becomes 30. Now this is d plus 30. Now this is 3 times, this is 5 times, right? So this becomes 5d plus 150 is equal to 9d plus 5d plus 150 is equal to 950 plus 9d plus 30. Now 4d is equal to 120, so d is equal to 30. Now the question is what is the total distance? It is 2d plus 5. Total distance is 2d plus 5, therefore the answer is 65. I hope this is clear to you. I hope the concept is very clear now, right? But I will suggest that you should solve it a little differently in the exam scenario. Okay, this is the right way to solve it. The one that we have done right now is the right way to do it. However, I will tell you a shorter, a trick to solve this in the exam scenario. Okay, so now the question says that d by 60 plus 0.5 is equal to d by 2 plus 5 divided by 50 plus d by 2 divided by 25. Is that correct? This is what the question is saying. right? Now, which number do you think is of the form 2d plus 5? Which numbers are of the form 2d plus 5? Although each of these numbers can be expressed as 2d plus 5, however, by looking at the option, which are the questions that look more probable? So 55 and 65 seem more probable to fit in the form 2d plus 5 with d becoming an integer, right? So we should try these options out first. Also if you see that let's check both of these out. Now if you put 2d plus 5 is equal to 55, d becomes 25. If you put 2d plus 5 is equal to 65, d becomes 30, right? So let's try one of these out. We will know that if the second one is the option answer option or not. So if you put d is equal to 25 here, so basically if you just solve this becomes d plus 30 upon 60, and this becomes 3d plus 10 upon 100. Now we started with the first assumption that d should be an integer. To make the d an integer, because I have 60 here, I should take 65, in which case d will become 30. So now I will take here 30. Here if I take 30, this part becomes 100. So you can see 1 is equal to 1. So the condition is satisfied. So 65 is the answer. So choosing the options wisely is very, very important in solving the questions faster. You have to realize this. If you actually choose the options wisely, you will more often than not solve the question faster than others. So what's the trick here? The trick is very, very simple. Use the option which is of the form 2d plus 5 giving d as an integer, and then substitute in the equation and check it, rather than solving the equation which might take you more time. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. Now moving on to the next question. Of the shirts produced in a factory, 15% are defective, 20% of the rest are produced in the domestic market. Now, so if let's say there are X numbers of shirts produced in the factory, 15% are defective, remaining is 85%, so 0.85x, right? Says that 20% of the rest are sold in the domestic market. So this, out of this 20% is sold in the domestic market. So 20% is 1/5. So 0.17x is sold in the domestic market. The remaining 0.68x must be left for export. So 1.17x and 0.68x. Now 0.68x is equal to 8840. Now just let's see how what's the answer coming out here to be. Now 17 5 times is 85, 2 times, so this becomes 520, and this becomes 4 times, and 100 is multiplied if you take the decimals out. Now this is 130. So this is 13,000. This is 13,000. So that's your answer. I hope this is clear to you. The answer is 130. Now guys, have a look at this. So you know the answer already. I will tell you how people make silly mistakes. Okay, how people make silly mistakes here. So if you actually take x as 15% and then you take 20% here additional, okay, you don't take 20% on this, you take 20% on this only. So this becomes 0.65x, right? So this becomes 0.65x. Now 0.65x you equate to 8840. Okay, so now when you equate it to 8840, you take 100 here, you divide it by 13 5 times. This is 13, 6 times is 78, and 8 times is 104, so 680. Now if you divide 5136, so the answer is 13600. Is it there in the answer option? Yes. So is the answer option waiting here to make a mistake? If you make a mistake, you will find that answer in the answer option. So you have to realize this, the psychology of the people who are setting the paper also. You can't make a mistake in a simple question like this. If you make a mistake, you will find your answer and you will mark it, you will be happy going home. But your answer will be incorrect. So read the question very, very properly. That's the key input I have from this question. Okay, let's move on and see the next question. The average height of 22 toddlers increases by 2 inches when 2 of them leave this group. If the average height of these 2 toddlers is 1/3 the average height of the original 22, then the average height of the remaining 20. So let's say the average height of 20 toddlers. Average height of 20 toddlers is h20. The average height of 2 toddlers is h2, and average height of 22 toddlers is h22, right? So the average height of 22 toddlers is increasing by 2 inches when 2 of them are leaving this group. If the average height of these 2 toddlers is 1/3 the average height of the original 22. So if let's say the original 22 is, now if I let's say take this as x, the height of the 2 toddlers is 1/3 the average height. So this is x upon 3, right? Now says that the average height of 22 toddlers increases by 2 inches when 2 of them leave the group, right? If the average height of these 2 toddlers is 1/3 the average height of the original 22, right? So original 22, the height is the average height of these 2 toddlers is 1/3 the average height of the original 22. So, and when they leave, the average increases by 2 inches. So when they leave, the average increases by 2 inches. So x was the average and it increased by 2 inches, so it becomes x plus 2. Now you just have to use alligation, because you know that there are 20 people here and there are 2 people here. The ratio is 10:1. So now if you just use alligation here, you will realize that this is 2 and this is 2x by 3, right? So the ratio is x by 3 is equal to 10, so x is equal to 30, right? So x plus 2 is 32. So we have to find out the average height of remaining 20 toddlers. So again, a very beautiful question. You can use concept of alligation to solve such a question. I hope this is clear to you. The answer here is 32. I hope this is clear, guys. I hope you enjoyed the series. Keep happy.